So when Fairclough is here, it's another public holiday here in France. Francois Hollande, he doesn't get a break. Neither do the markets. Well, neither do we, actually, Owen, do we?
It's straight down to it for Francois Hollande, Stuart. No real political honeymoon for him. Of course, he's got a very busy agenda ahead of him. Not least trying to convince investors that he's not quite the financial bogeyman that has been made out. The European markets opening negatively, though. The CAC 40 extending the day's losses so far off by around 1.1%. Been some problems in Frankfurt this morning with the DAX, technical problems preventing their system from getting up and running. We'll bring you more on that one as we get it. You can see there the FTSE London traders back at their desks after a public holiday on Monday. That's off by around 0.2%. On the Asian markets, a bit more choppy. The Nikkei did manage to finish the day, though, with some reasonable gains, sustaining those throughout the day, around 0.7% up. You can see there that the Hang Seng and the Shanghai both still struggling to find anything meaningful over the past couple of days or so.
A broken DAX, never heard of that one before.
A broken DAX.
And some Japan's big names are beginning to stem the losses from Fukushima, aren't they?
Yeah, the earnings still aren't great, Stuart, for a country that's really struggled to find itself any kind of growth in the wake of the Fukushima disaster last year. But they're not that bad. Mitsubishi, for example, its profits off by around 2%. Remember, many of these big names actually turned losses at this time last year in the wake of the earthquake and, of course, that nuclear disaster. Another one, just to point out for you, Deutsche Post as well. Some pretty good earnings there, rising 64% to just over 500 million euros for the first quarter. That's enjoying the profits of part privatisation.
Now, France aside, of course, the big worry for markets right now is where Greece is headed. Sunday's elections have left the country with no clear leadership, and talks to form a new government have ended, well, in stalemate. The deadlock and position of some parties towards the bailout programme could prove critical to short-term financing, as Winnie Andrews reports.
Failed talks to form a government in Greece spark worries it will exit from the Eurozone. The political uncertainty could derail previously agreed upon reforms needed for the country to receive over 30 billion euros in emergency loans next month.
We need to face these problems and face them especially against our Troika partners, because otherwise the next tranche, which is due to be paid in Greece, if there is no government, then I fear that we're going to face serious problems in paying both salaries and pensions next month.
Some analysts say the political upheaval in Greece will lead to its exit of the Eurozone.
After the election in Greece, it's absolutely clear that Greece should leave the Eurozone to manage its economic problems. Having two problems, economic and political, is not able to manage. They have to go out.
If Greece left the Eurozone, it could devalue its currency, a move that would boost exports and tourism. But some say its departure would spark wider turbulence.
The problem is that if the markets see this precedent, people will wonder if the same thing will happen to Portugal, to Spain, to Italy. It could scare the markets.
While Greece's direction remains unclear, Sunday's parliamentary election showed that many Greeks have had enough of the austerity needed to stay in the Eurozone.
OK, let's get a bit more of the day's business news for you now, starting with the chief executive of Britain's biggest insurance company, Aviva, who was quit just days after the board failed to head off a shareholder rebellion over pay. The company said Andrew Moss decided it was in its best interest to step aside with immediate effect. Last week, Moss had turned down a deal that would have given him around £1 million a year in salary, but a majority of shareholders voted against the firm's overall compensation plans.
Shares in Spain's Bankia have dipped another 3% after the government announced a bailout plan. The final figure has yet to be confirmed, but is thought to be between 7 and 10 billion euros. Bankia was created out of a merger of 7 savings banks and has been the most exposed to the toxic assets left behind from Spain's property crash.
And staying with Spain, oil giant Repsol has threatened rivals with legal action. That's if they try to invest in YPF, the partner seized by Argentina's government. Repsol has written to companies considering ventures with YPF, which was all but nationalised by the government of President Cristina Fernández. The move caused outrage among international partners, but Fernández said Repsol had failed to invest enough money in Argentina's vast oil and gas reserves.
Now, Facebook is gearing up for what is likely to be, anyway, the biggest ever flotation of an internet company later this month. He may have nearly 1 billion friends, but he needs to covet those willing to buy $10 billion in new shares. And that means persuading some of Wall Street's biggest players that social networking can bring big profits. Nicholas Rushworth has more.
Making friends is big business, and for Facebook, ahead of its IPO, that means hitting the road, not clicking online. Facebook execs are doing the rounds, including a visit to JP Morgan Chase in New York.
Even from very early on.
Mark Zuckerberg set up Facebook 8 years ago. His social network, now valued at up to $96 billion, wants to raise $10 billion.
Facebook IPO is definitely being considered by most people within the industry as sort of the benchmark of all amazing IPOs to ever hit the market. You know, everyone's saying it's going to be the world's largest. There's no doubt it's going to be. At the very beginning, there's going to be a frenzy like which we've never seen.
Zuckerberg was treated like a rock star by the press pack as he crisscrossed New York. Facebook is being bullish about its money-making potential. Investor questions on Monday included a query about its potential plans to enter China. There are some concerns about its long-term growth.
We don't believe that the growth period for the company is in any way over. We do believe that there's a law of large numbers, and that no matter how excited you are about Facebook, the law of large numbers holds, and the bigger you are, the harder it is to grow.
One person not drawn by the Facebook frenzy is Warren Buffett. He has no plans to buy into Facebook. That, even though, or perhaps because, he's been helping Zuckerberg with the initial public offering.
Now we've got some business film news for you now, because just before we go, proof that when you need them, Iron Man, the Hulk and Thor combined can smash the box office.
Yeah, look at what happens when you put them all together, Stuart. We're, of course, talking about The Avengers, officially now the biggest opening weekend in terms of the box office. Certainly in the US and Canada. There's the top 5 as things stand. You can see The Avengers has stormed into the #1 spot there, taking around $207 million over the weekend. Its first weekend in the US. You can see knocking the likes of Harry Potter, the last movie there, The Dark Knight, and The Hunger Games, another movie that's come out relatively recently. In fact, I think only about 6 weeks ago. That, again, has taken big money around the world. The Avengers has taken around $600 million worldwide. It was released in Europe. It's been out in France, I think, a couple of weeks now. So it's already had a head start in European cinemas, which is what's helped driving things a little bit. Still might have some way to go before it starts knocking off films like Titanic or Avatar as the biggest in terms of worldwide takings. You're looking at movies there that have taken around $1 billion and counting since their release. But that's pretty good business, isn't it?
Incredible numbers.
Just come out.
Yeah. Producer Chris, did you hear his review? He just went, nah. Didn't like it.
He doesn't like it. I've not seen it yet. I thought the trailer looked pretty good, but it's interesting. We were talking to Caroline Wirtz last week about this trending business with Twitter, and of course it confirms what she was saying about how the number of likes you get on Twitter and Facebook helping to drive the buzz, and of course you can see the takings at the box office confirm that.
Excellent. All right, thank you very much, Owen. That's the film to go and see then, apparently, if you believe the number of other people that have gone to see it anyway. Owen, back tomorrow morning, of course. Latest news really shortly. Claire will be here after the break.